Hello. So in addition to Replit in the lab, we'll be using the IDLE interactive development environment for programming in Python, and that comes with the Python 3 download. So if you're working on any of the labs up here in CCT in the tutoring labs or in one of the classrooms, Python's already installed, but at home you'll need to install Python yourself. So if you go to the python.org website, Python is a completely open source programming language. This means no company actually owns the language. So it's a nonprofit organization, the Python Software Foundation, that hosts the source code, and the open source community can contribute to the development of different versions of Python, including libraries and those kind of things. So the python.org website has a ton of different stuff, a lot of resources for Python programmers. So where we're going to want to start is with downloads. And what we're interested in is the latest version of Python 3. Python 2 is actually quite different than Python 3. Python was originally created as just kind of a learning language, and then it really became very, very popular. And so when it was developers started using it for different things, the Python community decided to revamp some of the way Python worked in order to make it better for development. So that's how we got Python 3. So we're programming in Python 3. Grab the latest version of Python 3, which at the time of this video is Python 3.7.2, and download it for your particular platform. For Windows, for your Mac, if you're running Linux or something along those lines, you can also run Python, so grab other platforms. Python also runs on many different NIX distributions, that might be used in Raspberry Pis and robotics boards and things like that. So you don't need to know any of that stuff for this class. That's just kind of FYI as you're learning more and more about programming, and you're going to be able to do a lot more with programming. You're going to want to look into programming on different types of platforms. So here's where you would find the download for that sometime in the future, just so you know that it's here. So you'll go to the downloads page, and so here it automatically detects that I'm running Windows on this particular machine, and it's going to give me the list of options if I want to go with an older version. So just go ahead and grab the latest version. Definitely make sure you get later than, I do believe, 3.5. The turtle package that we're going to use underwent a couple different little tiny changes, but it can really affect a little bit the way that it works. So make sure you're getting at least a 3.6, 3.7, something along those lines. You'll just click download, accept everything. It will put everything in the right place, add the interpreter to the right path. So just go ahead and go with all the defaults, and you'll be ready to go. Once you get it downloaded, this website will still be useful because the Python documentation is on this website. So you'll want to look at the Python 3 documentation. It looks like this. There's a tutorial. There's all kinds of different information about the built-in modules, built-in functions, built-in data types, all kinds of interesting stuff. The documentation might be a little bit intimidating at first, so don't feel overwhelmed if it seems a little bit like you're looking at a foreign language. You kind of are. But the more you get familiar with Python and the more you practice with Python, the more the documentation is going to make sense to you, and it's going to be a great resource. So once you have it downloaded, you'll have to search for IDLE, I-D-L-E, to get the GUI environment. And once you have it installed, that's what you'll open to actually write code. So you can type in IDLE, I-D-L-E, and it should open an interface that looks like this. And what opens is actually the shell. So if you look up here, what I have on this computer is 3.7.0, and you can see that this is the shell that opens. You can code in the shell, so I can say something like print hello world, and it will go to the interpreter and it will print, but this doesn't actually save the program for you. It's not a program file of your code. So what you're normally going to want to do is you're going to want to come up here to File, you're going to open a new file, and this is where you'll write your code, and when it runs, it's going to run over here in the shell. So here's where we'll see the output of the code. So what we always do when we write programs, we use the pound sign to indicate a comment, and we're going to put our name. We're going to put the date, and I'm just going to put a general date, spring 2019, and you're going to give a description of this program. So we'll call this Intro to Idle. Every program should have something at the very top of the program with these three things. You don't want to open this file. You don't want somebody else to be looking at your code and have no idea that it's just a bunch of code. You don't have any label as to what is actually in this file. So once we have that, then we can start writing stuff. Hello, everyone. And when we run this, you're going to go up here to run, and you're going to click run module. And the first thing it's going to say is that the source must be saved. So you cannot send code to the interpreter that hasn't been saved yet. So let's go ahead, and you all can see my messy filing system here. Where is Spring? I don't know, so let's just put it on the desktop, and we'll call this hello idle. And all of your Python files are going to have a .py extension. That's how you know that it's a code file. It's a file. It's actually a text file, really, with a .py extension, but the interpreter has to have this .py extension to be able to recognize the code and run it as code. So you'll see I ran the code, and I've just got a print statement that says hello everyone. So I could print some other stuff. Yay programming, and let's run this, and here we go. Hello everyone, yay programming. So every time the interpreter is going to start at the top, ignore this, it's a comment, ignore this, it's a comment, ignore this, it's a comment. That's what the pound sign does. And then it's going to hit this print function, hello everyone. It's going to print it right there. And then it's going to print yay programming. Print it right here. So whenever you run your program, what the output runs right here in the shell. Some things that you might find useful, you can come in here if you need to comment out a region. So this means if I wanted to turn this into a comment so that it doesn't run, I can just hit comment out region, and it's going to turn that into a comment. So now this will be ignored by the interpreter. And then I can also say uncomment region, and it will take that comment out. So that can be pretty handy. There's some other ones that will come in handy once we start writing more complex code, indenting, dedenting. Those are pretty much the ones I use the most often in idle. Indenting, dedenting, commenting, uncommenting. You're going to run over here. Here we can configure it. So if you would like to change the font, the way that it looks, don't mess with this until you understand indenting and how Python is a space delimited language and how that works. And we'll talk more about that in future videos. But for now, just leave that alone. You can highlight different stuff. Over here you can also change the size. So I have it a pretty big size right now for the video. If you want to be able to fit more code on the screen, you can decrease the size. If you want to be nice to your eyes, you can increase the size. And here we can do some different highlighting. We can, probably for now, don't mess with this stuff. But in the future, you may find it easier to create some key sets that help you have some shortcuts, but for now just leave that alone. Let's see, the rest of these we'll just go ahead and probably we won't be using those in this class, but there is some settings that you can play with to make your interface a little bit more user friendly. So we just say apply or cancel and get out of that. And let's see, anything else that might be useful? If you have some questions, there's a nice little turtle demo. Let's see, we can cut, copy, paste kind of most of the things that you could do kind of in a text editor. This one will be very helpful. So go to line. So the IDLE IDE doesn't have numbering. So when you get an error, for instance, let's say I forgot this quotation right here. I'm going to run this and I'm going to say it's going to say invalid syntax, and it's actually going to highlight it. So that's great. I don't really need to know where it is. It's going to highlight it right there. But there are some other types of errors that what you'll end up with is an error message over here in the shell, and it will give you a line number. Well, since these aren't numbered, you won't be able to quickly see what line that is. So instead of counting, you can just go to line, and we'll put in 3, go to line 3, and it's going to take us right. The cursor will go right to line 3, and you'll be right in the right place that you need to take a look at for that error. Replaced could be useful. Finding a particular selection may be useful. Find again. So those are some of the things that you may find useful in IDLE.